Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to the Secharians review, the punk rock band of war game review institutions. I'm going to do a little how to play, and I wouldn't call it a how to play, just the basics of the game, followed by a review of Rescue from the Hive. The review will have both me and Len reviewing it, but this came in Ares Magazine number 7. I did a first look video on this too, so you can see all the components, but let's go over how you win the game first. The victory conditions there's actually 2 of them. The first is you choose that at the beginning of the game, if you're the Terran player, that you want to rescue the ambassador and his daughter, or you can choose to just have a punitive raid. If you have a punitive raid, it's won with victory points, meaning you get points for each alien queen you kill, and then you get points for any hostages that you rescue, whereas the other game you only win if you rescue the hostages. So what's going on in this game? Let's go over the map first. The map, this is a ship, an alien ship, and it's cylindrical, meaning that this space here connects to this space space connects to that, this space connects to that, and up here you have laser pods and engine rooms. Reason those matter is because on turn 12, the ship will go into hyperspace, and any of your space marines that are left on board will be eliminated. And also, the Xenon player, who is the aliens, they can purchase less turns, meaning for, I think it was for 4 points, they can choose to make it go into hyperspace on 11, or another 4 points to make it go on turn 10. I think you can have a maximum of 5 less turns depending on how many points you spend. But let's go over some of the spaces on the map. These are the laser pods. You want to destroy those before you rescue the princess and leave the ship, because they can shoot at your ships on the way out and destroy you. Also, there's 2 engine rooms here. If one engine room is destroyed, that means the ship won't go into hyperspace for an additional 2 turns, or if you destroy both of them, it never will. So if you're the Space Marine player, regardless of which scenario you're playing, because even if you're playing just the punitive raid, you're going to want to leave the ship, so you're going to want to destroy the laser pods in both engine rooms. As far as the map here, it's in areas. There's a queen in each hatchery. The command section gives, we'll go into the queens in more detail, but it gives the queens a longer command range, and they use commands. Here's alien soldiers. You see it has 8, 3, and 4. If the alien soldier is within command range of a queen, it uses the 8 for melee. If it's outside command range, it uses a 3, so that's why command range is important. In the armory, Xenon soldiers, workers, and queen units, and the master queen add 2 to their range combat strength and 2 to each of their melee combat strengths, as long as they remain in the armory. And you have gravity control here, and if you really want to, you can destroy you can go in there and change the ship to where there's no gravity, which will screw up slow down movement for both sides. And that's the basics of how the map is. Here's where you'll stack up your ship, your troops after you pick them. This is each drop ship here. So one of the first things that happens in the game is you choose your forces. The Terrans get 80 points. The Xenons get 70 points. The Terrans for 8 points can choose a drop ship. This is just the markers you'll put on the map showing where the drop ship docks. So they've bought 4 of them. And these 4 3s are engineers. Engineers have special abilities in this game and can blow things up and stuff. And then you have the 7-4 unit here. That's the only unit that's a 2-step unit, so when it takes a hit, it becomes a 3-4, and it's also allowed to split into 2 3-4 units basically at will. And down here you have the Xenon player. These are his soldiers, the 8-3-4s. These are traps, actually like booby traps that he purchased. There's also fake booby traps you can purchase. They call them dummy ones if you want to. And these 3-3s are the worker counters. There's also queens for the aliens, but those are free. Now the queen setup. Most of them will just set up in the hatcheries, and these are the 4 ones. These are the regular queens. They set up upside down. So each hatchery has to have one. And the laser area has to have a queen. So I'll put a queen right here. And here's the hostages along with the master queen. The hostages have to be within 3 of the master queen. So I'll put the master queen here along with 2 of the hostages. Significance of the queens in this game is the queens can do mind control to take over the minds of Space Marines. So if a Space Marine gets within 3 of them, they can roll to see if they take control of it. And then as long as the queen keeps the Space Marine within 3 of her, the Space Marine's completely under her control, and she can use it to attack its own forces and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. The Xenons will set up the rest of their forces now. The aliens are all set up. I put the 2 booby traps, one in each engine room, and a bunch of soldiers up here, and workers in the armories and so forth. Now the Space Marines will determine what dropships they use and stack up there accordingly. Alright, so now the Xenon player will do his outer defenses. There was 4 darters built, so he'll use that table. He rolls a dice and gets a 5, which means 2 darters are damaged. So the Xenon player knows the names of the ships, but he doesn't know how many are each, so he's going to choose these 2 here. So the first one, darter damage table, gets a 6. The darter and all of its occupants are destroyed. That's a complete disaster for the Space Marine player. Second one will roll on, gets a 1, so they lose 1 step. So, oops. He'll lose a step. The sequence of play begins now. Starts with a Xenon command phase with a mind control segment. There's nothing for them to mind control yet. And then a queen activation segment. So they get to activate 1 queen. Alright, so now it's the Terran movement and combat phase. So the Terrans have a Terran movement and range combat segment. Let's go over how that works here. It costs a minimum of 2 to shoot. Here's what the movement point expenditure chart. To enter a box is 1. To cross a door, hole, or breach is +1. To fire in range combat is 2. And improve range combat strength by 1 is +1. Attempt to blow a hole in the wall, 2. Attempt to remove booby trap, leave enemy occupied box, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. So the Terrans are going to place their breach marker here. So they'll place their breach marker right here. So it costs 2 points for this guy to enter here, and 2 more to move into the command room. He's not going to do that. They're just going to stack up here. This turn. That's an engineer. And as far as range combat, the engineer spent 2, so he can't do range combat yet. But however, this guy can. His range combat strength is 4. Since he's firing at a box 1 away, his 2 hit, he needs a 3 or below. So he's firing into these 2 here. And he gets a 2, so he hits 1. If it would have been exactly 3, it would have just incapacitated him. So he's going to choose this one to hit. He can't choose the hostage, so he shoots at the queen instead. Alright, so this queen is dead. And this hostage has been revealed. Alright, the next segment is Terran melee combat. There is none right now, because they're not in a space with an enemy troop. So now it goes to the Xenon movement and combat phase. This guy's actually up here. So they spend 2 to move there, and 2 to move into their space. And these will move 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the queen is here. She's not active, so she has a command range of 3. But if she was active, she'd have a command range of 6. But anyhow, she's in command range of these, so these get 24 because they get their full melee combat strength, minus 4 from the engineer, so that's 20. So 20 plus 6 is 26. So effect on target affected unit is eliminated. Eliminated units are removed from the map. So he's removed. Alright, and then the next segment, which we're not going to do right now, is the Hive escape segment. That would be an evacuation segment, outer defense segment where they'd fire, and a hyperdrive segment, and so forth. Alright, so we go back to the top of the sequence of play. We have a mind control segment. No one's within range of an active queen, so now we can activate a queen. So we'll activate her. So next turn she'll get to do mind control. And the whole turn starts over again. So let's skip forward. I'm going to show you how mind control works. Alright, this guy here is within 3 of her. So on a roll, he's not incapacitated, so on a roll of 1 through 3, he'll take control. Fails to take control, so let's pretend she did, just to show what it's like. So that one's under mind control now. So this is actually 2 units here, so only one of the units is under mind control. So we'll flip them over to this side. So the 3-4 is under mind control. And then there's you break it out into a second chit, so there's another 3-4 which is not under mind control. So during the Xenon player's turn, the mind control 1 will be able to move around and fight against the Terrans and so forth. But those are the basics of the game, how the mechanics work. When it's time to leave the game, let's say all this is destroyed. And they've retrieved the hostages. So, say they went there to retrieve the hostages, they will just move to here and enter this ship. And then in the evacuation segment, the Terran player states which is departing. He says that one is departing. And then there's an outer defense segment. Depending on how many lasers are left, determines on how bad he gets attacked. So let's pretend the Space Marines had destroyed all these laser pods except for, let's say, except for 2. So each laser pod will get to fire at the departing ship once. Alright, so on a roll of 1 through 3, it'll take damage. So the first laser does not hit. Second laser does not hit, but let's pretend it did. It rolled a 3. So then we'll roll on the darter damage table. Gets a 6, so the darter is destroyed and everyone is killed and they have lost. But if he didn't roll a 6, he only got a 1, they would have only lost 1 step and it would have got away. So that's the basics of how the game works. Len and I will do the review portion now. Hey guys, Dave and Len here. We have Rescue from the Hive. We just played a game. I played it solo. When I played solo, the Space Marines won, but it was down to the wire. We just played... the Space Marines lost, but that's probably because it was the first time Len was playing it, and the game has a steeper learning curve than some games, so you have to play it a couple times before you get the strategy and before you realize what type of units you need to purchase. What'd you think of the game, Len?
Actually, despite losing badly, I have good feelings about this. This is a problem with any kind of special forces mission. If one thing goes wrong, the entire thing is screwed badly. Like, what was it, Somalia or Mogadishu?
Mogadishu.
Mogadishu. Yeah, one thing went wrong and started a whole cascade of errors. In my approach, I lost too many people because I was hit by all the laser guns. So by the time I got in, I was at a reduced force, and the second-rate soldiers were able to hold me back and bump me off. We took heavy casualties coming in, and as a result, my force was too small, and his second-line soldiers were able to neutralize me and delay me long enough until turn 12, in which you go into warp drive and you're out of here. Because it wasn't until near the end that I saw what his big guys were like, and I was definitely outclassed.
Yeah, I kind of had an unfair advantage since I had played it before. And what the rules for this game are all over the place. I mean, actually, once you learn the rules, it's actually a good rule set. But the way they were written, it's hard to find information and stuff. And sometimes they talk about something like a Queen's command range and stuff before they define what it is or and stuff. So it's one of those rule books. But once you get the rules down, they're all right. Another problem I have with the game is in the beginning when the Space Marines are taking their ships and trying to dock with the alien spacecraft and they get shot at. If they have 6 ships and the Xenon player rolls a 6, he's going to hit 3 of their ships. And if he rolls a 6 again for all 3 of those, he's just destroyed 3 ships, which is like half the Space Marine rating force, so they stand like no chance. So I thought it was a little too random, the initial anti-aircraft fire, because if it's really effective, the Space Marines stand no chance, and it's like pointless to even play the game. So
actually, I was about to say they shouldn't be allowed. They should be. The object is the human Marines gain the element of surprise.
True. Yeah.
And
yeah.
They should, or it's like, or if they don't get the element of surprise, maybe only 1 or 2 shots, only 1 or 2 guns are able to get off before.
Yeah. Well, on the initial, when you're first flying towards there, you're only firing once. It's when the game's just about over and you're leaving, where they can fire like all the guns, which is why you want to destroy the lasers, so they can't do that, and destroy the engines, so the ship can't go into hyperspace.
This is a classic example of having too many missions and not enough people. Because in addition to it, the movement is, to me, seems slow. You've got 12 turns. You got to find the hostages.
Right, especially with the costing 2 movement points to go through the doors. I thought the movement was slow too. And then when you get into alien areas, the 6 different areas, it's like some of them you can't go directly to the box next door. Sometimes you got to go around and stuff, so it's like a lot of extra movement, and you're on a time crunch because the alien spaceship might be going into hyperspace on turn 12 or possibly even earlier if the aliens paid to have the ship enter hyperspace early. So yeah, the movement isn't fast enough.
Yeah, and I was thinking if I devoted forces to attacking the engine room, which you had lots of counters sitting there.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I learned that from my first game.
Yeah. If I fought it out with those, I probably would have nothing left to rescue the hostages at that point.
Sure.
Even if I had the extra time. So, yeah.
But overall, I'd say the game's pretty good. Actually, I would call it a solid good. It's just the rules are not written that well. But once you learn them, it actually is a good rule set. So yeah, it's a good game. Do you think it was good?
Yeah, it was good. Actually, like I said, I lost big time, but I wouldn't mind trying this again.
Yeah. All right, thanks for watching, guys. And we'll have a new game next week. I'm not sure which one yet, but we'll find something to review. Have a good evening.